Hello everyone. In today's video we discuss about external debts on different countries in 2025. Before starting, make sure to subscribe our channel. Cambodia holds $21 billion in external debt, a modest global footprint. Trinidad and Tobago carries $21.5 billion, showing a relatively low debt burden. Paraguay has $21.8 billion in foreign debt, reflecting limited borrowing needs. Papua New Guinea owes $22 billion, marking a small external borrowing profile. Iraq stands with $22.6 billion in foreign debt, modest by regional standards. Zambia holds $23.1 billion in external debt, highlighting ongoing economic struggles. Costa Rica's external debt totals $24.9 billion. Georgia and Iceland each carry around $25.3 billion in debt, maintaining balanced obligations. Ethiopia follows with $25.4 billion, driven by development financing. The Dominican Republic has $26.1 billion in external debt, reflective of growing investments. Cuba owes $26.3 billion, much of it accumulated during past economic crises. Ghana stands at $27.9 billion in external borrowing. Lebanon carries $34.6 billion in foreign debt amid ongoing economic instability. Belarus holds $36.4 billion in debt, shaped by political and trade pressures. Ivory Coast follows with $36.5 billion. Mongolia's foreign debt totals $37.1 billion, largely tied to mining investments. Angola carries $37.7 billion in external obligations. Bahrain has $39.4 billion in debt, maintaining moderate borrowing levels. Kenya stands with $40.2 billion in external debt, mostly used for infrastructure. Estonia owes $41.7 billion, supported by a stable EU-aligned economy. Jordan carries $42.3 billion in foreign debt. Tunisia has $42.6 billion in debt, driven by fiscal reforms and development needs. Nigeria holds $43 billion, one of Africa's largest borrowers in absolute terms. Latvia's foreign debt totals $44.1 billion. Panama carries $44.2 billion in external obligations, linked to logistics and infrastructure. Uruguay follows with $47.8 billion. Bulgaria has $50.7 billion in foreign debt, mainly from European financial integration. Croatia owes $52.9 billion, shaped by EU policies and reconstruction efforts. Serbia and Oman each hold $54 billion, managing growth and fiscal demands. Sri Lanka stands at $56.6 billion, grappling with a recent debt crisis. Ecuador carries $57.7 billion in debt, often tied to oil and sovereign bonds. Slovenia holds $60.7 billion in external debt, balanced within EU frameworks. Kuwait has $62.1 billion in debt, well supported by oil revenues. Sudan's debt stands at $62.4 billion, much of it long-standing and disputed. Morocco carries $64.8 billion in foreign debt, reflecting development financing needs. Peru manages $86.3 billion in debt, often funneled into economic stability and growth. Bangladesh holds $104 billion, driven by infrastructure and export-backed development. Venezuela carries $110 billion in external debt. Pakistan has amassed $131 billion, much of it borrowed to cover energy and defense costs. Vietnam maintains $139 billion in debt. Philippines carries $140 billion, with steady borrowing for public works and education. Slovakia holds $145 billion. Israel's foreign debt stands at $147 billion. Egypt shoulders $155 billion, a result of infrastructure megaprojects and currency shocks. Romania carries $158 billion, shaped by EU development programs and fiscal reforms. South Africa maintains $164 billion. Kazakhstan holds $166 billion in foreign debt, linked to mining and economic diversification. Puerto Rico manages $167 billion. Ukraine carries $172 billion, heavily influenced by conflict and international aid packages. Mauritius surprisingly reports $189 billion, due to global finance center dynamics. Qatar owes $195 billion, much of it related to global investments and World Cup infrastructure. Colombia carries $201 billion. Thailand manages $201 billion, reflecting its steady tourism and export-driven borrowing. Malta's debt hits $207 billion. Taiwan maintains $213 billion, mostly from trade and tech sector expansion. EU carries $220 billion, largely from development of its futuristic urban economy. Ireland holds $224 billion, boosted by tech sector ties and EU financial dynamics. Czechia has $226 billion in external debt. New Zealand reports $246 billion. Chile carries $247 billion, balancing debt with copper exports and economic reforms. Saudi Arabia holds $264 billion. Argentina stands with $283 billion, a legacy of cycles of boom, bust, and restructuring. Russia manages $290 billion, relatively low compared to its global economy size. Cyprus owes $291 billion. Malaysia maintains $301 billion, driven by consistent industrial and export growth. Hungary carries $343 billion, reflecting EU-supported development and energy imports. Indonesia holds $424 billion. Portugal manages $457 billion, a legacy of past financial crises and EU restructuring. Poland has $467 billion in debt. Turkey carries $526 billion, much of it influenced by lira devaluation and external borrowing. Denmark reports $590 billion. Greece holds $618 billion, the result of decades of crisis recovery and EU bailouts. Finland carries $687 billion in debt, supported by strong institutions and innovation. South Korea maintains $703 billion. India carries $712 billion, used to fund vast development and welfare programs. Norway owes $743 billion, balanced by sovereign wealth and strong exports. Austria manages $756 billion in external obligations. Mexico holds $880 billion in foreign debt. Sweden carries $1.12 trillion, supported by innovation, exports, and social programs. Brazil manages $1.49 trillion, spread across agriculture, energy, and urban development. Belgium holds $1.65 trillion. Hong Kong carries $1.93 trillion, built on global banking and trade flows. Australia owes $1.95 trillion, backed by commodities, real estate, and steady growth. Singapore maintains $2.15 trillion. Switzerland holds $2.32 trillion in external debt, reflecting trust in its stable financial system.